Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to Into the 99. I'm your hostess, Lotus, for another episode of Brewing It Live, where we brew with the help from chat a commander deck from scratch. Today, I have the amazing Han.
Hey, what's up, everybody?
Hello. And today, we're enrolling in Quandrix. Quandrix, yes. We're going to enroll in that class today. And we're going to brew Adrix and Nev Twincaster, one of the brand new faces of Commander 2021. It is a legendary Merfolk Wizard 2/2 for 2 and a green and a blue with Ward 2, the new mechanic. Whenever this creature becomes the target of a spell and ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 2. And the piece to resistance is its second ability. If one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. It's nuts. Obviously, they've not released the deck yet, so we don't know what's going to be in it. Might be some really cool new cards, but it's nuts.
Yeah, MTG Card Crazy already said, like, such an amazing card, and I completely agree. Like, even down to the fact that it's got 2s across the board, and it's mana value, Ward 2, 2/2. I love it. It's great.
It almost gives you that reminiscing of Iula.
Yeah, I definitely looked at all 5, and I went, this is the one that I want to brew first. So I'm very excited for this, honestly.
And I'm so glad with this site. So we use Archidect, these amazing people, and they're so up to date. They've even got the wide arts available.
Yeah. That way we just lose all the reminder text, and we don't need to know what Ward is. It's not brand new.
No, we've had it before.
So, Lotus, let's get us started here. Were there any specific cards you wanted to start off with?
I mean, I would like to discuss one specific card.
Sure.
You might have seen it going around on the internet. How stupid this card is. I'm just going to say Helm of the Host.
Oh, yeah.
So, Helm of the Host on this commander
is bonkers.
Because turn 1, you get 2. On turn 2, you get, I think it's 11. And then it goes up to something like 2,000?
Yeah. I was explaining to my friend Pops a potential in here. So, I mean, yeah, Helm of the Host goes insane. Anything that exponentially grows any amount of tokens is going to be insane in this deck.
Yeah.
So the example that I gave to my buddy Pops when I first saw this, and I was just driving in the car, I said, I want to throw a Sakashima on this. That way I break the legendary rule. I have Ward 2 on Sakashima that's a copy of this. And now I'm quadrupling my token generation.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, yeah, that went from having just 2 of them on the board, and my brain went kicking right of replication. And now instead of 5 token copies, you're making 20.
So right of replication then.
Yeah.
Now,
any creature you're making 20 of. That was my first initial thought when I saw this, and I went, that's insane.
I'm just going to say it. If you're going to put Sakashima in there, I'm going to put in Spark Double.
Yep.
I
love it.
Same thing, just slightly odd.
Yeah.
Okay, so
totally fits.
I think we've already broken this deck. That's it. We're done. Good night.
A little bit. I mean, it's a great starter package for sure. We have in chat, Empress Rivera says, "Get you that growth spiral," and Ashen says, "Fable of Wolf and Owl."
Fable of Wolf and Owl.
Yeah.
So that is 3 Simic for an enchantment. Whenever you play a green spell, you may put a 2/2 wolf creature token into play. Whenever you play a blue spell, you may put a 1/1 bird into play. Oh, and that's from Shadowmoor, I believe. So if it's not been reprinted, that card might go up in price. So if you want to get that, I'd get that pretty soon.
Yeah, for sure. It sounds great. You're making copies of 2/2 wolves and 1/1 flying birds, except you're making 2 of each of them. Yeah, that seems great.
Oh, I've just seen Empress Rare's comment, and I completely forgot about Biovisionary.
Yep. Biovisionary is fantastic. So, Biovisionary is 1 green and a blue for a human wizard creature at the beginning of the end step. If you control 4 or more creatures named Biovisionary, you win the game.
Yep. That's
Alternate win condition. Four, you say? Didn't we just, if we have our commander in Sakashima, doesn't that just do it right there?
Yeah.
Yeah, seems great.
So, are we going to put the elephants in the room in the deck?
What elephants do you mean?
So
we're in green, not white.
Doubling season.
Oh, you were talking about doubling season? I'm sorry.
No, not physical elephants. I'm not generous gifting anything. And
See, I thought the elephant in the room was going to be a hull breacher because I would love to make double treasure tokens.
I was thinking the same thing, but I'm not going down the degenerate route. So I'm glad you brought that up, not me.
Oh yeah, that's all on me. I no.
So
What, we get to make double the treasure tokens? Absolutely. But yeah, let's go back to parallel lives and doubling season here.
So for anyone that doesn't know, doubling season is 4 and a green for an enchantment. If an effect would create 1 or more tokens under your control, it creates twice that many instead. If an effect would put 1 or more counters on a permanent, it creates twice as many instead. And then we have parallel lives. For 3 and a green, if an effect would put 1 or more tokens onto the battlefield, put twice as many instead.
Rara, thank you for being able to make it tonight. I know it was late. Rara also says Mechanized Production.
Ooh.
For a little bit of a curveball for you. Mechanized Production is 2 blue and blue. It's an aura enchantment, and you enchant an artifact you control. And at the beginning of your upkeep, create a token that's a copy of enchanted artifact. Then, if you control 8 or more artifacts with the same name as one another, you win the game. Treasure tokens. Mechanized Production.
We have Sakashima out on the board, and then we make token copies of Helm of the Host. Just saying. Not that I'm really going hell on this.
Yep. We're having multiple copies of Helms of the Host. That doesn't seem crazy.
Come on then, what's your next one? What do you want to put in this disgusting deck already?
Oh, well, before we go there, Ashen has a couple in chat saying Clone Legion as well as Second Harvest.
Okay,
so
Clone Legion.
You want to take Clone Legion?
Because I run this in my Merfolk deck, because I'm thinking of actually putting this in my 99 with Kamina, or replacing Kamina for a couple of months to see how this runs. But Clone Legion is 7 blue for a sorcery. For each creature target player controls, create a token that's a copy of that creature. And then Second Harvest.
Yeah, Second Harvest. So it's the one that is 2 green for an instant, and for each token you control, you create a token that's a copy of that permanent.
Ooh.
So we're creating another token copy of everything, but wait, there's more. We're creating 2, possibly 4 more copies of it or more. Yeah, Second Harvest is phenomenal in this deck. It's $1.79 right now.
Go pick some up. I think chat's stealing my list. Progenitor Mimic.
Yep. Progenitor Mimic. Fantastic card. Does exactly the same thing as Helm of the Host, basically, I believe.
You may have Progenitor Mimic enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it has, at the beginning of your upkeep, if this creature isn't a token, create a token that is a copy of this creature.
Yeah, seems great. So, yeah, so far it sounds to me like we're just making a bunch of tokens. Not necessarily any kind of specific kind. I honestly thought a lot of the time that we would just be going down merfolk, tribal or merfolk tokens.
I thought of it.
Yeah, but I think that there's so much you can do with just the doubling token strategy that I don't think you necessarily have to go merfolk for sure.
No.
There's just so much you can do. I will go ahead and put this out there for now because I like this card a lot. Jungle-born Pioneer. It is a merfolk, and it's a 2 and a green. And on ETB, it actually creates a 1/1 blue merfolk creature token with hexproof.
Okay.
So if we can get a couple of those out, just to kind of go a little bit bonkers with with some merfolk tokens, I think it'd be an interesting strategy.
Yeah.
But this is probably going to be in the maybe board depending on how far off the beaten path we go.
Okay, so if I was just to literally put that straight in the maybe board because
Yeah.
it's good,
Go ahead.
but it's not. It's not.
It's not this good.
Yeah.
We have some more in chat here. Ashton says Coma, which is actually on my list.
The
Cosmic Serpent.
Yes.
Cosmos Serpent. Excuse me.
3
So
green, blue for a legendary creature Serpent that can't be countered. At the beginning of each upkeep, create a 3/3 blue Serpent creature token named Coma's Coil.
Seems fair. We're making 4 of those. 4 of those in upkeep.
Yeah. Sacrifice another Serpent. Choose one. Tap target permanent. Its activated abilities can't be activated this turn. Or Cosmos Serpent gains indestructible to end of turn, and it's a 6/6.
And keep in mind, you don't have to tap Coma for any of those. So any number of those Coma's coils that you have, or even just another Serpent, technically.
Yeah.
That'll do it. Yeah, it can't be understated that tap target permanent and the fact that its activated abilities can't be activated this turn, that actually can shut down certain commanders just single-handedly. It's pretty nuts. Just being able to do that at instant speed, no less. And Satanic Suggestion from Empress Rara.
Okay.
You would bring it up. Scoot Swarm, Scoot Mob. I think the Swarm is the one that goes in here more.
Yeah, I like the Scoot Swarm.
So Scoot Swarm, 2 and a green for an insect with with landfall. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, create a 1/1 green insect creature token. Or if you control 6 or more lands, create a token that's a copy of Scoot Swarm. Yeah. So you remember that thing we were talking about with exponential growth on tokens? Yeah, that's Scoot Swarm on a stick, right?
That seems reasonable. I say reasonable for us, not for anyone else.
Yeah, that's a get rid of that card on site.
Can I quickly
most of the time
suggest a Planeswalker?
Sure.
So it's been banned everywhere. Oko Thief of Crowns. So its +2 is create a food token. We're going to end up making 2. We can also create something into a 3/3 elk, making it lose all its abilities. So any artifact or creature that an opponent has, we can just elk them. The last ability I'm not so fussed about, but is making double food and having that removal effect on it seems pretty good.
Yeah, I would agree. Oko is pretty great. And Rara says, "Oh no, Oko," but yeah, I mean, can't be denied that it's still pretty effective at the very least.
Yeah, it's a great commander card. Totally fair and balanced.
So I'm gonna go ahead and go out on a limb and kind of throw in a Mystic Reflection here, just because of what it could potentially do.
Oh, I can see Jojo mentioned that earlier.
Yeah.
Mystic Reflection. 1 and a blue. I forget it's only 2 mana. For an instant, choose target non-legendary creature. The next time one or more creatures or planeswalkers enter the battlefield this turn, they enter as copies of the chosen creature, and it foretells for blue.
Yeah. I don't think there's gonna be that many foretells in this. uh I have one that seems very useful, not necessarily in line with everything else, I suppose.
Okay.
So what do you think of going with a land that makes some tokens?
Oh, Reflecting Pool?
No, Field of the Dead.
Oh, Palm.
We're making some zombies up in here too. Reflecting Pool. No, I'm making some zombies on landfall.
Oh my god, that's gone up so much. So
Yep.
enters the battlefield tapped and add colorless. When it or another land enters the battlefield under your control, if you control 7 or more lands with different names, create a 2/2 black zombie creature token.
I mean, it's just incidental value at this point, right? So we're just gonna make some tokens off of lands. We're gonna make some tokens off of everything.
Yeah.
Yep, seems good. I'm a fan.
That's
I quite like it.
Yeah, that's disgusting. So
A little
we're
bit.
going to have a lot of people removing our creatures, I feel. And one thing Quandrix
Ah,
doesn't do, because it's not Simic, it's Quandrix, because math is magic, is we need to reuse them somehow. So I would like to suggest a Mimic Vat.
yep. Mimic Vet is on my list as well.
So 3
It seems
colorless
fantastic.
for an artifact with imprint. Whenever a non-token creature dies, anyone's, you may exile that card. If you do, return each other creature card exiled with Mimic Vat to its owner's graveyard. But for 3 in tap, create a token copy of the creature that's exiled under it, and exile it at the beginning of the next end step.
So
It
we're
also
making
gains
multiple
haste.
tokens.
Yeah, but they gain haste, so we can use them straight away.
I quite like that. So to go hand in hand with that, actually, you know what? I'm gonna have a suggestion, and I'm gonna go back to Ashen, who stole my later suggestion that I was gonna bring up. But what do you think of Shaper's Sanctuary? Because I quite like it in this deck a lot.
And what's that one?
Shaper's Sanctuary is a 1 green enchantment out of Ixalan. Whenever a creature you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, you may draw a card.
Ooh, that's not
So
bad.
our commander necessarily doesn't need to be targeted because this is creature. So any of our creature tokens, if they for whatever reason happen to need to be removed by our opponents, for us they might as well just be tokens. You know, something like Mimic Vat that we're going to sacrifice at the end step. But anything else that's permanent that they have to get rid of, why not just make them all cantrip, right? So any creature spells that are happening, any tokens that we're getting value off of, if they decide to target it, we're just going to get to draw cards off of it.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot.
I was quite happy with that one. That one was a fun one that I found, and I just went, ooh, this is going in.
So what's that card that Ashen stole the thunder from you? Let me guess.
Oh, it's Arachnogenesis.
Yeah, I thought it was. I still need to get
So
myself one of these.
it's only going to go up because, you know, these tokens that are going to be created by Arachnogenesis, which are going to be twice with our commander. 2 and a green for an instant. Put X 1/2 green spider creature tokens with reach onto the battlefield, where X is the number of creatures attacking you. Prevent all combat damage that would be dealt this turn by non-spider creatures. So our spiders will block. We'll have double of the blockers as well. They do not get sacrificed at the end step. And we get to essentially double block anything, not even chump block. It's pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
And spiders only are these spiders are the only ones that are dealing damage. So all the combat damage that you're blocking or anything like that, your spiders live through it no matter what.
Okay. Now, I have noticed a large selection of non-creature spells. So may I recommend a Shark Typhoon?
Ooh, I like it.
5 and a blue for an enchantment. Whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying, where X is the spell's converted mana cost. You can cycle it for X1 and blue to discard and draw a card. And when you cycle it, create an XX blue shark creature token with flying.
Lotus, you lied. That's an enchantment.
What did I say it was?
You said you were looking for creature spells.
Non-creature spells.
Ashen's in chat saying Gol Murdrak. I believe that's the amphibian one, right? Yeah, amphinologist. Gor Muldrak. Legendary creature, human scout. 1 green and a blue for a 3/2. You and permanents you control have protection from salamanders. That's what it is. Salamanders.
Ah, this guy.
At the beginning of your end step, each player who controls the fewest creatures creates a 4/3 blue salamander warrior creature token. So we have protection from salamanders. We don't give them double the amount of salamanders, though. Okay.
See, I feel that in a deck like this, we're going to have the most creatures. So I'm going to put it in the maybe board for now. I'm not discounting it, but I believe that we won't benefit from that salamander as much as we think we will.
I think that's fair. It doesn't give our deck value. It gives us protection from giving other people more creatures. And it doesn't double these because it's tokens that would be created under your control. So,
and if this gets destroyed, we no longer have protection from all the salamanders we're giving out.
Yeah, I think I agree with that.
Yeah.
And Ashen says under the same premise as Shark Typhoon, Metallurgic Summonings.
Ooh.
So Metallurgic Summonings is a enchantment, 3 blue. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create an XX colorless construct artifact creature token, where X is that spell's converted mana cost. 3 blue for the activated ability. While you exile Metallurgic Summonings, return all instant and sorcery cards from your graveyard to your hand. Activate this ability only if you control 6 or more artifacts.
Oh,
I think that's good.
Can you imagine putting a Helm of the Host on that and just keep recasting? Like, animate it somehow.
Yeah?
Like, literally...
Animate an enchantment.
Animate an enchantment, turn it into a creature, and then Helm of the Host it, and just keep recycling our instants and sorceries. Not sure how to do that, but Magical Christmas Land does exist.
Right. So I think here... I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just want to absolutely talk about this one. Waste Blob.
Oh, goodness.
Waste Blob is 2 green for an Ooze from Commander Legends. It's a 0/0. Oozes you control get +1/+1. At the beginning of your upkeep, if you control a commander, create a token copy that's a copy of Waste Blob. That would get out of hand very quickly.
So as long as you create your commander, you'd make 2 copies of Bio Waste Blobs, and they're all giving each other +1/+1, right?
They give themselves +1/+1 as well.
Right, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay.
That could get out of hand very quickly.
Oh man, at that point, I just want to throw in a Biogenic Ooze if we're going that route.
Biogenic Ooze is 3 green. When it enters the battlefield, create a 2/2 green ooze creature token. At the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each ooze you control. 1 green, create a 2/2 ooze. Yeah.
Actually, that might not be as good as I think, though, right? I mean, we can go wider on oozes, but I don't think they make oozes like it puts counters on them. I thought it was the other way around.
No, but you can pay 4 to make an ooze, so it actually makes tokens itself as well.
Yeah, I don't think I like it as much, honestly, though.
Really?
Now that I think about it, yeah,
Okay.
because that would it's too reliant on having the ooze card. I think the one you suggested just does it by itself. It's
Okay.
self, so I think that's better in that regard.
I'll put it in the
Rara
maybe
says,
board.
oh, Ashton says, also, Lotus, surely, Deranged Hermit, Deep Forest Hermit, and other squirrel makers need to go in. I believe he's referring to your Toski deck. However, I don't know about the tokens. However, I do agree with Toski.
Yes. Toski, although doesn't make tokens, the amount of token creatures we're gonna make, the ability to
Yeah,
draw a card
I think
is...
that's all you need, honestly,
Yeah.
from Toski. And that just does so much work with the amount of tokens we're creating just in general.
Yeah. As much as I'd love to shove loads of squirrels in here, there's better stuff to do.
I also agree. I think the 1/1 squirrels, I think in Toski it's great. I don't think that in the Twincasters deck it doesn't need to go in.
That's fair.
Now, Rara says March of the Machines and Mica Synth Lattice. It's a clunky way to do it, but it might work.
Oh, to animate the enchantment. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is definitely clunky. I don't think it's
It.
I don't think it quite fits. Although Rara also says I highly recommend Gutter Grime. What's a
Okay.
Gutter Grime? That one I'm not familiar with.
Gutter Grime is, let me look, 4 and a green for an enchantment. Whenever a non-token creature you control dies, put a slime counter on Gutter Grime. Then put a green ooze creature token onto the battlefield with this creature's power and toughness are equal to the number of slime counters on Gutter Grime.
Okay, so this relies on our non-token creatures though dying.
Yeah. I like it, but I feel that Gutter Grime is in the maybe board for now until the end. Just because we're making so many tokens, I don't feel we're going to have that many creatures.
Yeah, I think the if it was tokens dying, I would be all for it.
Oh,
I
that
think
would be
that'd be
beautiful.
insane. Yeah.
So there's one that I do want to put in. Giant Adiphage.
Sure.
Giant Adiphage is 5 green for a 7/7 insect with trample. Whenever Giant Adiphage deals combat damage to a player, create a token that is a copy of Giant Adiphage.
Okay.
Just making giant...
7/7 trample for 7. So,
You know, it's
okay.
on the same level as Colossal Dreadmaw, except it makes more copies of itself.
Cool. Cool. Jojo, legendary Jojo with the suggestions, is suggesting Azuri's Predation. Azuri's Predation is one of those expensive ones, if I'm not mistaken, nowadays, right?
It's about
It's gone up in price a bit.
$20.
Yeah. Yeah, it's up there with Arachnogenesis, I think. So Azuri's Predation, 5 green. For a sorcery, for each creature your opponents control, put a 4/4 green beast creature token onto the battlefield. Each of those beasts fights a different one of those creatures.
Oh, nice.
So if we're making double that, but those each fight a different one of those creatures?
For each creature your component controls, put a 4/4 beast onto the battlefield. Each of those beasts fight a different one of those creatures.
Yeah. So how would that work with the fight part of it when there's double the amount of beast creatures?
Huh. I haven't thought of that. They each fight a different one. I suppose once you fight each one once, you've run out. I'm going to ask Ashen in chat just to check on that one for us. Yeah.
That's an interesting situation.
Yeah, that is an interesting. If we make like 6-7 copies of that, how does that work?
Because it's for each creature your opponents control, so it's literally all of your opponent's creatures on the board.
Yeah, so I presume you just
have to
fight
inevitably
them
run
once.
out. We've broken something already. I love it. Okay.
Whoops.
Ashen says Orvar.
Orvar the all.
Yeah, there we go. I couldn't remember if it was Orvar the all-seeing or all-form. Yep,
all-form, yeah. 3 and a blue for a shapeshifter. Changeling. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets one or more other permanents you control, create a token that is a copy of one of those permanents. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, create a token that's a copy of target permanent.
Interesting. Okay.
I like it. I don't think we're going to be doing much. Well, hang on a second. Let's put it in the maybe board because we've got right of replication.
Targeting means copy of one of those permanents. So it's just making one copy every time we target something. But I think that that's not the worst thing. It depends on how we go, because I can imagine if we put things in such as, ghostly flicker, we can definitely abuse that to, target it, make a copy, and then bring it back. I can definitely see a world where that definitely comes into play. But let's put it to the side for just this moment. I think it's a strong maybe board. What do you think? I had one that I really wanted to put in. I really like the idea of putting in a Merc Fiend Liege, personally.
Is that the Lord?
It's the green and blue creature Lord that also untaps all green and or blue creatures you control during each other's player's untap step. So we get another Seedborn Muse effect for creatures.
I like that.
So, send our token sideways, get them back up for blockers.
Yeah.
I quite like it.
Yeah, I like that. I've just noticed Ashen has confirmed that if there are more creatures created than there are to fight, they don't fight.
Okay. Yeah, so once you run out of creatures, you don't have to.
There's nothing left to fight.
It's not necessary.
Yeah.
Perfect. Cool. I like it. And I believe I missed a suggestion in chat earlier. I believe it was Michaeloth.
Oh.
So Michaeloth is 3 green for the fungus 4/4 with Devour 2. As it enters the battlefield, you may sacrifice any number of creatures. This creature enters the battlefield with twice that many +1/+1 counters on it. And at the beginning of your upkeep, create a 1/1 green sapperling creature token for each +1/+1 counter on Michaeloth.
Oh, wow.
Yep. That seems insane.
Yeah.
ETB, let's sack a bunch of creatures that are tokens typically, I would imagine. And then we have a crazy amount of +1/+1 counters on this. And at the beginning of upkeep, we're going to just make a bunch more sapperling tokens.
Yeah.
Maybe we do go that ghostly flicker route.
True. Now, I just want to put in a really pet card of mine.
Oh, what you got, Lotus?
Polyraptor.
Oh my goodness.
Polyraptor is a 6 green 5/5 dinosaur with Enrage. Whenever Polyraptor is dealt damage, create a token that is a copy of Polyraptor. I love this so much.
I hadn't even thought of that, but
Polyraptor
so even if we were to trade evenly, we would come out on top, right? Basically, with our
commander. You don't
out.
care. You literally swing it every turn at anyone, even if their board state's massive. It dies. You get 2 more. You keep going.
I like it so much.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah, let's throw that in. Let's throw that in.
I need to get myself one again. I miss having them.
I have so many now because when I went and made my dinosaur deck, I think I ordered too many copies. So I think I have 3 now.
Wow.
Unintentionally. Rara says doubling down on suggesting Adrix and also maybe Cold-Eyed Selkie as a decent clone target.
So Adrix?
So Selkie is the 1/1. Yeah. So Selkie is the 1/1 merfolk with Island Walk that draws you cards for however much power. So generally draws you 1 card by itself.
Yeah.
Now in conjunction with Adrix, the Spy Master, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, you can. I can see that. I think that for myself, I think Toski does that, but for everybody, right? I don't think it's necessary to have it specifically on Cold-Eyed Selkie, personally. But, you know, it's the Edric effect of whenever a creature deals combat damage. I do like that.
Yeah. So you want Edric in there?
Right.
It's just another Toski then, isn't it?
Rara says Edric's neat as it doesn't need to be your creatures. Whenever a creature deals combat damage to one of your opponents, its controller may draw a card. So but it gives it that effect to everybody else, right?
Yeah.
See, I'm greedy. I like being able to just have that effect asymmetrical, not for the whole board.
I like
but that's
it.
me.
But I'm greedy too. I want those card draws.
Yeah, give me all of them all day.
Now, if we're going down the card draw route, how about, I don't know, we're going to make a lot of creatures, a great henge. I mean, it won't trigger for tokens.
Yeah, can't go wrong with great henge, typically speaking.
And then Garruk's Uprising.
I can see it.
Just a couple of card draw effects, and Garruk's Uprising also gives us trample.
Yeah, I think that's fine. See, me personally, I decided to go with more the Bident of Thassa and kind of, because we're going so wide, I chose to go more that route as far as the draw route, instead of, because we're not with Garruk's Uprising and things of that sort, we're not necessarily bringing in powerful creatures all the time. So I just wanted to swing in for the draws personally, but we can certainly go that route. I don't think that that's a bad idea either.
Yeah, well, I'll put Bident of Thassa because whenever a creature you control deals damage to a player, combat damage, you may draw a card.
Yep. Ashen says, I think you'll need some sort of a lab man effect with a ridiculous amount of card draw. Oh, how about Thassa's Oracle, right? Of replicating that with...
Oh.
Yeah.
I mean, even if we put something that duplicates tokens... Nope, that's Ordeal of Thassa.
Rara, thank you for joining the stream. I appreciate the suggestions.
Have a good one.
Thank you for staying up late.
Take care. So, Thassa's Oracle. When Thassa's Oracle enters the battlefield, look at the top X cards of your library, where X is your devotion to blue. Put up to 1 of them on top of your library, and the rest on the bottom of your library in the random order. If X is greater than or equal to the number of cards in your library, you win the game. Now, even if we use Rite of Replication on this and make so many copies, the fact that we can scry, I say scry loosely, sort out our deck to get the best cards on top.
Yeah.
That's just good value.
Yeah, and we'll get a bunch of those trigger effects as well, so we can kind of draw a bunch of cards, no less, on top. I
Yeah.
like it quite a bit. Yeah, it'll certainly do the job there.
I've been holding off it, but I kind of just want to go degenerate and just put in a Hull Breacher. If an opponent would
Join us
draw a
on the
card
dark side.
except the first one they draw in each of their draw steps, instead create a treasure token. We're going to need the mana.
Okay. So at this point, now that we're officially including the Hull Breacher here, so I want to protect Hull Breacher and I want to protect my commander, right? Is that something we can agree on?
Sure.
How do you feel about Kopala, Warden of Waves? So Kopala, Warden of Waves, is a legendary merfolk wizard.
Yep.
2/2, 1 blue for the casting cost, and spells your opponents cast that target a merfolk you control. Cost 2 more to cast. Abilities your opponents activate that target a merfolk you control. Cost 2 more to activate. So Hull Breacher will now be a little bit more resilient, and our commander will definitely be more resilient.
Definitely. Definitely, I like that. Okay. We are definitely making some tokens here.
Yeah, we've got a decent bit of tokens. One more that I really like as far as token generation. How do you feel about a Chasm Skulker?
Chasm Skulker.
Yeah. So it's a 2/1 squid horror.
Yeah.
1/1. Whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter on Chasm Skulker. Now, when Chasm Skulker dies, put X 1/1 blue squid creature tokens with Island Walk onto the battlefield, where X is the number of +1/+1 counters on Chasm Skulker. As I said previously, if we're drawing cards off of combat damage dealt,
Okay, I'm listening.
Chasm Skulker will draw us a bunch of cards, gain a bunch of +1/+1 counters, and whenever it dies, we'll just get twice the number of X 1/1 blue squid creature tokens with Island Walk.
Okay. So on the same thing then, what about Nadir Kraken? So Nadir Kraken is 1 blue for a 2/3. Whenever you draw a card, you may pay a colorless. If you do, put a +1/+1 counter on the Kraken and create a 1/1 tentacle creature token.
Yeah.
I don't think
I
it's
think we can
as
certainly...
powerful because we don't make our tokens bigger, but we go wide with them. So
I think hand in hand with that, my next suggestion would have to be something like a Cryptolith right at that point, right? If we're just making all these tokens also all into mana dorks, then we can easily pay for the Nadir Kraken or any other ramping that we're doing, essentially.
1 and a green enchantment. Creatures you control have tap, add a mana of any color. Yeah, that seems pretty good. Okay. We've gone very heavy in this. And
token generation?
Yeah, I mean, that's what this whole deck does. We're now in the last quarter, so we're at 74 cards. We've got no way of dealing with threats, ramp, so I think we should now try and focus a little on that before we finish off on some more big doublers. So
how do you feel about... I'm sorry, did you have one that you wanted to suggest here?
The one that I put in every green deck, Barrier Breach.
Sure.
2 and a green, instant, exile up to 3 target enchantments, and it cycles for 2. This Ikoria card, just pick them up. They're amazing.
Yeah, 25 cents. Nice and cheap, too.
Yeah.
Pick up a bunch of them. So, okay, we're going down the route more of protection / removal, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we already suggested an Arachnogenesis, which is kind of more protection creature-wise from damage. I I think the obvious one is just kind of throw in a gem and a beast within here, right? I think we definitely do that.
The Beast Within, yeah.
Yep.
And
And Heroic Intervention, since we're in green.
I was going to suggest, yeah. Oh, is this the time that we actually put in Lazartop plating?
We can.
Lazartop plating is 1 and a blue instant. Amass 1. Put a +1/+1 counter on an army you control. If you don't control one, create a 0/0 army. You and permanents you control gain hexproof to end of turn.
So I don't mind the amass one. I just don't think that we're going to get too much value out of it. What do you say to a Simic Charm instead?
Okay.
Give us a little bit of modal flexibility here while we're in Simic, no less.
Choose one. Target creature gets +3/+3. Permanents you control gain hexproof. Return target creature to its owner's hand. Oh, I like that. Yep, okay.
Yeah, I think it's a little bit more flexible here.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I'll agree with that.
Ashen says Mystic Genesis. So 2 green, blue, blue for an instant. It says counter target spell and create an XX green ooze creature token, where X is that spell CMC.
Yeah. Does what we want
Perhaps
to
I'm
do.
reading this a bit late, but yeah, if we wanted to make an ooze out of it, I suppose. I think that's a maybe for me because of the sheer cost of the counter spell, but
We're in we're in Simic. Sorry, Quandrix. We're in Quandrix.
That's fair. That's fair.
The ramp that we can do in these two colors is insane.
Sure. Now, speaking of ramp, I think the obvious ones are obvious, so I'm going to leave those alone for the minute. I want to go ahead and throw in an awakening zone. So, awakening zone, we're going to go ahead and make at the beginning of your upkeep. Well, it's 2 and a green for an enchantment. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may create a 0/1 colorless Eldrazi spawn creature token. It has sacrifice this creature, add a colorless.
Oh.
What do you think?
I like it. That's basically in your upkeep. If you control your commander, have 2 mana.
Yeah, or just 1 regardless.
Yeah. No, I like that a lot. Really do.
Ashen says From Beyond. So From Beyond is an enchantment, 3 and a green. Has Devoid. This card has no color. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a 1/1 colorless Eldrazi Scion creature token onto the battlefield. It has sacrifice this creature, add 1 to your mana pool. You can also pay 1 and a green to sacrifice From Beyond. Search your library for an Eldrazi card, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your library.
Okay.
I don't know if we're going Eldrazi. I was just saying Awakening Zone just for the sheer, upkeep value of
I mean,
that
this does the
creature
same
token.
thing. I'm quite happy to shove it in for redundancy with a mana.
Sure.
I mean, yes, we might not use the second ability to get an Eldrazi, but
Yeah, that's fair.
the rest of it's good.
Now, can we agree that we're making a bunch of creatures?
Just
Tokens
about.
or otherwise?
Just about.
I think it's an easy growing rights for me.
Yeah.
So, growing rights of Itlamok, 2 and a green, legendary enchantment. When it ETBs, you look at the top 4 cards of your library, reveal a creature card from among them, put it into your hand. The rest of them go on the bottom of your library. But at the beginning of your end step, if you control 4 or more creatures, you transform Growing Rights of Itlamok into Itlamok, Cradle of the Sun. For all intents and purposes, it taps for a green, or it is a Gaia's Cradle, which taps for a green for each creature in your mana, each creature you control.
Yeah.
Doesn't say non-token, just any creatures.
That's definitely going to be good.
Ashen says Tireless Tracker.
Okay.
So, Tireless Tracker works.
Tireless Tracker is 2 and a green for a Human Scout 3/2. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, investigate. So you put a colourless clue token, which is an artifact, onto the battlefield with 2 and sacrifice this artifact to draw a card. When you sacrifice a clue, put a +1 counter on Tireless Tracker. That's more card
Yeah,
draw.
I'm good with that.
Yeah. I like that.
I like that quite a bit.
I think
So yeah, I think Tireless Tracker goes in here.
I think we're missing a big one, and I'm surprised that no one has mentioned this one.
Which one are you talking about?
The Avenger.
I have an inkling.
The Avenger of Zendikar.
Yeah, that's a good one. We do have the Mystic Reflection too, no less.
Yeah.
You can definitely make
So
a
5
bunch of
green
Avengers of
for an
Zendikars.
elemental 5/5. When it enters the battlefield, create a 0/1 plant creature token for each land you control. Whenever a land enters the battlefield, you may put a +1 counter on each plant you control. That I'm surprised took so long to get to, honestly.
I think it's just the one that's just straight up obvious. So I think maybe that's the reason why everybody's been kind of calling out other ones.
Oh,
But,
the other ones
I
have been
mean-
amazing. Don't get me wrong. I'm just surprised.
Yeah, I mean the Avenger has a lot of easy synergies here, obviously.
So Jojo's also saying Mirage Mirror.
I quite like Mirage Mirror as a card. It's very much a pet card of mine personally.
Okay.
So Mirage Mirror, it's a 3-mana artifact. For 2 mana, you can have Mirage Mirror become a copy of a target artifact, creature, enchantment, or even a land until end of turn. The reason I like this so much personally is that you get to essentially, for 2 mana, whatever's on the board, you basically get to have anything from your opponents for your turn.
Yeah.
And if anybody Vandal Blasts or tries to destroy, Mirage Mirror via Barrier Breach or, any targeted, it's an artifact or, if you have it as an enchantment or anything like that, you can always just tap 2 to make it an enchantment, make it a land, and, exile all non-land permanents. Somebody's playing an Urza's Ruinous Blast. Well, now I'm just making this a land. I still have my Mirage Mirror.
Yeah. Yeah, that's quite good protection on that one. I like it. I like that a lot.
Ashen's got a bunch of instants and suggestions. So Psych Rift, Pongify, Rapid Hybridization, Reality Shift, Raven Form.
Oh, Raven Form's a good one. I like that card. So Cyclonic Rift, everyone knows what it does. If you don't, it's 1 and a blue for an instant. Return target non-land permanent you don't control to its owner's hand, or you can pay 6 and a blue and overload it and return all non-land permanents you don't control to their owner's hand. Pongify is another good one. Single blue for an instant, destroy target creature, it can't be regenerated. Its controller makes a 3/3 green ape creature token.
Yep. And Rapid Hybridization is basically the same thing, except it makes a green frog lizard token, I believe.
Frog lizard, yeah, for a single blue. And is it Raven Form?
If you haven't already done Raven Form, it's a Reality Shift for the last one.
Raven Form is 2 and a blue for a sorcery. Exile target artifact or creature. Its controller creates a 1/1 blue bird with flying. You can also foretell it for 1 blue. And sometimes exiling something is what you need, not just destroy.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah.
It's why Barrier Breach makes me sad every single time.
Okay, we're at 89 cards and we have a deck that looks pretty scary to play against. I think there's one
for sure.
I think there's one more Planeswalker that I'd like to put in.
Sure. Does it give creatures flash?
No. No.
I'm impressed. Which one is it?
Koira, the Crashing Wave. So 2 blue, green for a 2 loyalty planeswalker. +1 until your next turn. Prevent all damage that would be dealt to and dealt by target permanent an opponent controls. -1, draw a card. You may play an additional land this turn. Or my favourite, -5. You get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, put a 9/9 blue Kraken creature token onto the battlefield.
Oh, you want to make multiple Kraken
I
at the end.
I do.
Got it.
I so want those Krakens.
All right, let's do it. Let's throw it in.
I think we do need some ramp in here now, though.
Oh yeah, for sure. So if we're looking at the commander, do we really want to get this commander out necessarily turn 4 and just have it out because it has the ward 2? What do you think as far as strategically?
So this commander could go both ways. Being the ward 2, it could survive, or having its second ability could be instantly removed every single time.
Right.
I personally might play this mid to late game. And try and get it off that way and hope that I've got the other stuff coming in as well, like doubling season, parallel lives, to get that set up.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with that. I mean, if you can get her out early, I think it's quite strong because then you'd be able to protect it.
Yeah.
Because Ward 2, so for example, typically in a green-blue deck, you want to be doing your turn 2 ramp spells, right? So things such as Farseek, Nature's Lore, Rampant Growth, 3 visits. That way you have a 3rd land, and then on turn 3 you play your 4th land and you cast your commander. Hopefully not into any kind of counterspell magic on board, right? But once our commander, the Twincasters stick, especially early on, it's going to take a while, or they're going to waste a lot of mana to get that, to get through the ward 2, I think, just on its face value level.
Well, yeah, because a Path to Exile will cost 3 mana.
Right. So, and I mean, that's not even, I hadn't even thought about something like Fierce Guardianship yet, but that would be a perfect way to, protect our commander from that, even on top of the ward.
Yeah. Also, you've got the boots. So
yeah, we can definitely throw the boots in.
Fierce Guardianship was from one of the Ikoria commanders. If you can still pick up one of those commander decks, this card is worth more than the deck sometimes. So Fierce Guardianship is 2 and a blue for an instant. If you control a commander, you may cast this spell without paying its mana cost. Counter target non-creature spell. It's one of the best force of wills for commander I have seen, because there's a condition, you have to have your commander, but it's such a good card. 3 mana to counter a spell is still reasonable to do as well.
Yeah, and I mean, consider the fact that it's counter a non-creature spell, right? So unless you're getting targeted by an ability, this can protect your commander from, the chaos warps out there, just anything else. That's an instant, Beast Within, things of that nature. And they're paying 2 extra because of the ward. So on top of them using extra mana, you're also still countering it for free, no less. So I think that that's pretty fantastic, if you ask me.
The fact that it does non-creature as well means that there's a vast amount of commanders you can't counter for free. There are the odd 1 or 2 Planeswalker ones, but generally I think that makes it more fair that you can't counter someone's commander out of the blue for nothing.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
But yeah, I'm also going to put in Swiftfoot Boots as well, because for 2 mana artifact, equip for 1, creature gains hexproof and haste. It's just solid card.
Sure. One thing that I just noticed, do we have a Tatyova in here yet, by the way?
No.
I don't think that was suggested. But I mean, Tatyova is a merfolk, but it's just fantastic, right? anytime a land enters the battlefield, you will get to draw a card and gain 1 life. But that's just off of lands entering the battlefield, I think.
Yeah,
That
whenever a
pretty
land
much
enters
goes
the
in.
battlefield under your control, gain a life, draw a card.
Yeah. I mean, I quite like it. What do you think?
I think
Or does it not quite fit
it's just
because it doesn't make
incidental.
tokens?
It's just incidental card draw and life gain.
How are we looking right now as far as the deck?
So we're at 96 cards.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, we're doing really well.
Let me take a
And
look.
let's have a look. So our mana split's nice. Our CMC is 3.87. We have a good chunk of creatures and non-creature spells to trigger our Shark Typhoon. Yeah, we're looking pretty good. Couple more big flashy things, and I think we're on our way.
So, if we're talking about big flashy things, I don't think I've ever seen this card not be a problem, and I think it's even more so in this deck.
Okay.
What do you think about a Hornet Queen here?
Oh. Oh. Okay.
So, 4 green. It's a 2/2 flying death touch insect. But when it enters the battlefield, we're going to create 4 green insect creature tokens with flying and death touch.
4/1/1
8.
flying death touch creatures. Wow.
Yeah. So 8 flying death touch. 16 depends on how many effects we have, parallel lives.
Yeah.
I mean, there's all the blockers you need for a while, right?
How many ETBs do we have?
Quite a few, if I'm not mistaken. So we have,
I'm
things such as Avengers and
tempted
Dakar.
to put in Thassa, Deep Dwelling,
Oh yeah, it's on my list.
just to keep bouncing things. So 3 and a blue for a 6/5 indestructible. As long as your devotion to blue is less than 5, it's not a creature. But at the beginning of your end step, exile up to 1 target creature you control, then return that card to the battlefield under your control. And for 3 and a blue, tap target creature, another one. A fun thing with this one is if you steal something and then flicker that, you keep it even if the steal effect's temporary because it enters back under your control. Just in case you decide to build another deck.
Yeah, that seems pretty great. Huh.
Oh, ominous.
I just had an
Seas.
interesting thought. What do you think of a... Yeah. Ominous Seas, draw a card, get a Omen counter, I believe, right? And you can make some Krakens with it every time you have 8 of them?
Yeah, whenever you draw a card, put a Foreshadow counter on it. Remove 8 Foreshadow counters, create an 8/8 Kraken. I like that.
Ashen says repudiate and replicate. It's the split card
Okay.
from Ravnica Allegiance.
Let me do the whole twisty side thing. So, Simic instant, counter target, activated or triggered ability, yeah. Replicate 1 green blue, sorcery, create a token that is a copy of target creature you control. Yeah.
Yeah, so we can either copy something or we can go ahead and enjoy ourselves a nice little stifle effect.
Yeah. Oh, right. We've hit the 100 point. So now I think what we should do is see if there's any cards that have better versions, or if there's cards that you want to replace with other cards, or if there's cards that don't seem to fit. I don't feel anything in the maybe board that we've already shoved there goes in over anything, personally.
Yeah, I don't think any of the maybe board necessarily takes over anything. I quite like the Biovisionary alternate win con, so I quite like that one. To be
Yeah,
perfectly honest here, I think
that
it's
was a
something that we can
surprise.
definitely go for. Yeah. Um. Hmm. So my question is the giant Adiphage.
Yes.
I I I don't mind the 7/7 trample and creating token copies of it, but I mean, it has to deal combat damage, which is not hard.
Not with a 7/7 trampler, no.
But I mean, wouldn't you rather have Polyraptors? Or are we just doubling down on that kind of effect here?
Polyraptor I'm going to keep in regardless. Giant Adiphage,
Okay.
I can see that it doesn't have something like Indestructible, so it can... But then something like that would truly get out of hand. How about...
A little bit.
There's one thing that I'd like to put in that I don't think is in, and I can't see it. So I will take out Giant Adiphage and put that in the maybe board.
Okay.
And I'm going to put in Followed Footsteps.
Okay.
So for 3 blue, it's an aura. Enchant creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, put a token that is a copy of enchanted creature onto the battlefield. Simple. Does what we want to do.
Yeah. I quite like that actually a lot.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think the mechanized production is the one that's weird for me.
Where are we on that one? Mechanized
Enchant
Productions.
artifact. We can make a copy of potentially, Helm of the Host. Don't get me wrong, but that requires us to have a Sakashima out. Besides that, our artifacts we're copying Bident of Thassa, Mimic Vat, Mirage Mirror, or we're relying on a Hull Breacher treasure token.
Yeah,
I think that feels bad for me personally.
yeah, let's take that out then. Instead
One
of...
I would suggest actually,
Okay.
for that, it's kind of split for me. Um, I kind of want to put a little bit more ramp in,
Okay.
but there's also, so I'm going to throw two options out there for you. I quite like the idea of running a Song of Freyalise. 2 mana enchant saga, 1 and a green. First 2 chapters are until your next turn, creatures you control gain tap to add 1 mana of any color.
Okay.
So with all of our tokens, it's potentially a nice little burst out of nowhere because it's not Cryptolith right that's there the whole time. And on the third one, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. Those creatures gain Vigilance, Trample, and Indestructible until end of turn. So
Okay.
that's kind of like a knockout punch in a way that potentially gets you back in the game you know, if you've got not a whole lot of gas and if you top deck this with tokens on the board but not much to do, I can see that being a thing. The other alternative that I was thinking of is probably just a Beastmaster Ascension. So, Beastmaster Ascension, 2 and a green, and whenever a creature you control attacks, this is an enchantment. Whenever a creature you control attacks, you may put a quest counter on Beastmaster Ascension. As long as Beastmaster Ascension has 7 or more quest counters on it, creatures you control get +5/+5.
Yeah, I quite like that. It turns our 1/1 tentacles into 6/6s.
Yeah, and at that point, I don't think you necessarily need a whole bunch in the way of, you know, trample or anything like that if you're just going wide, as our strategy seems to be.
Yeah.
We were talking about Avengers of Zendikar plants or even Hornet Queen, flying insects becoming 6/6s with flying death touch. That'll do the job.
Yeah. I like...
Ashton is saying that he's not sold on Great Henge here.
Really? Okay.
Because it's X is the greatest power among creatures you control. How much power do we have? Because I'm not necessarily certain that we have a whole bunch of punch necessarily. I think they're just smaller creatures for the most part until we get, something like Beastmaster Ascension up, I believe.
Yeah, I suppose. May I suggest, seeing as we have a lot of ETBs, a Conjurer's Closet?
Oh, okay.
So we can just, at the beginning of each our end step, you may exile target creature you control and return it to the battlefield under your control. So we'll have 2 opportunities to do that, doubling up on our ETB create tokens.
I mean, I guess it's a question of how you want to do it. Wouldn't you say that Panharmonicon would be better because you're just getting it right off the bat
Fair.
instead of having to wait until the end step?
Yeah, okay.
If you're going for the ETB trigger, instead of waiting a second time to do it because, you're subject to removal and things of that nature, why not just have Panharmonicon out? And if they have the removal, they have the removal. Otherwise, we're just going to get double the amount.
No, okay. I'll admit defeat. Panharmonicon.
I'd rather just get the value up front, I think. Ashen says you're creating more tokens than creatures here, yeah? Hilarity, not rarity before. Urban Evolution. Or for rarity, unexpected results. That's what... So, okay. So, Urban Evolution, I don't recall what that is off the top of my head.
3 green, blue for a sorcery. Draw 3 cards. You may play an additional land this turn.
Okay. And then unexpected results, on the other hand, is... Let me pull that up here. 2 green and blue for a sorcery. It shuffles your library, then reveals the top card. If it's a non-land card, you may cast it without paying its mana cost. If it is a land card, you may put it onto the battlefield and return unexpected results to its owner's hand. So you just do it again. Okay.
Okay. I'd say that can squeeze in. I'm going to take out a land because we don't need that many. Go down to 35. That can squeeze in quite nicely.
I need to find something to cut because there's one that I definitely want to put in here.
Okay, so you want something to cut?
Yes.
Okay.
So I'll while we're looking for what we're trying to cut, I'll go ahead and put the suggestion out here. So I want to put in a Maskwood Nexus for this deck because I want to name Merfolk because we have Kopala. So if we have Kopala out, all of our creatures are Merfolk. All of our creatures are going to essentially have the Ward 2 effect, kind of.
Yeah.
It'll just, everything will cost 2 more to cast, or abilities that, target a Merfolk will cost 2 more. So that's on everything that we're, it's kind of semi-protection as well as just generating a bunch of tokens anyhow.
Okay, no, I can see that. I really like that. So in the same instance as Conjurer's Closet, Thassa Deep Dwelling, then cut that one.
Well, Thassa Deep Dwelling is a guaranteed thing unless they remove it, right? So
well, it's more the fact that if we're creating more tokens and creatures, we're not going to really be exiling much.
I would say keep the Thassa Deep Dwelling at that point. I would actually honestly cut the Tatiova.
That's a good point, actually. I forgot that was even in there.
Yeah.
How are we looking?
For me, I think the Tatiova can go at that point for sure over the Thassa. I like the Thassa because Panharmonicon gets you the value up front, and then Thassa just kind of, if it's not removed, it can just continue to get us value. So I think that that's okay as well.
Yeah. Okay. This is almost complete. We're at 100 cards. I want to play this deck. I really want to build this deck.
It seems like a lot of fun. It's not It's got a punch for sure. Jojo, we've got some card draw in. So one Bident of Thassa. We have some card draw. Let me see here.
We have Bident of Thassa. We have Garruk's Uprising. We have Koira can draw us cards. Toski can draw us cards. Tireless Tracker.
Yeah, Tireless Tracker. Toski is another big card draw for us. And I feel like we had one more somewhere.
I'm sure there was one hiding.
No, maybe not. Maybe we are lacking on card draw here, I think.
Oh, we did have the Great Henge, but it got taken out.
Ah, that's what it was. Yeah. Okay. So maybe a little bit more on the card draw. Okay. Elemental Bond, maybe.
What was the one from Guilds of Ravnica?
Are you talking about the one that went to the maybe board?
Well, does Elemental Bond do tokens whenever a creature? Yeah, okay. Let's just put Elemental Bond in, and I'm going to take out. I think I'm going to take out Pongify.
Yeah, one target removal. I think I'm okay with that.
Yeah. And then
do you want to make the frog lizard, or do you want to make the ape?
I want to make the I want to make the frizzard.
Okay, fair enough. All right.
I mean, we could always put in a War Room, Arch of Arazka, because we're running Field of the Dead, which will also
I'd agree with that.
Draw cards.
Yeah, War Room, Arch of Arazka. We can definitely draw some cards that way. Let's see. I'm also looking at this Mystic Genesis, and I'm wondering if it's good enough.
Mystic Genesis?
The instant counterspell that makes a green ooze token.
Okay, so if we put that to the maybe board and find one more card draw, and then wrap it up.
Oh, we also had Shaper Sanctuary as a card draw effect. Whenever a creature becomes the target of a spell or ability, we may draw a card.
No, that was the other one, yes.
That's what we were missing, yep.
What's the enchantment that you can sacrifice a creature to draw cards equal to its power?
Greater Good?
Ah, that one.
But then you have to discard 3. Is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah, maybe not so good.
Ashen says, Invert the Skies, replace Mystic Genesis. Invert the Skies is 3 and a Simic hybrid. For an instant, creatures your opponents control lose flying until end of turn if green was spent to play Invert the Skies. And creatures you control gain flying until the end of turn if blue was spent to play it.
Oh, so we can just fly over and kill someone.
Yeah.
Okay.
We can do that.
Yeah, that can go instead of the
Mystic Genesis.
Mystic Genesis. Yeah, I'm quite happy with that.
I had an interesting thought, and then it slipped my mind after I was looking at that.
Let's have a little look at this.
As you do.
So we can click on playtest, see what happens. 2 lands, Farseek, Heroic Intervention, Maskwood Nexus, Spark Double. Then if we draw our first 5 cards, Island, Doubling Season, Hull Breacher, Mimic Vac, Swiftfoot Boots.
Did we put in Greater Good?
No, I didn't think we had the power to get through that.
Okay. What do you think of... Because we're still looking for a card draw effect, right? Potentially?
Just one.
What do you think of Return of the Wild Speaker?
4 and a green instant. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control, and non-human creatures you control get +3/+3 to end of turn. Yeah, I quite like that modal spell actually. I think I definitely want that in there.
Yeah, Ashen's suggesting a shamanic revelation. Shamanic revelation is 3 green for the sorcery that draws a card for each creature you control. Ferocious, you gain 4 life for each creature you control with power 4 or greater.
Oh, I'd rather have that over the other one.
Yeah, we can do that.
So yeah, Return of the Wild Speaker can come out. Where is that gone? There. Also, I think I would prefer Replicate and Repudicate to come out over that other spell as well.
Which one? Return to the Wild Speaker? Return of the Wild Speaker?
No, we were at 101, so I'd rather cut that one.
Ah, okay.
As well.
Understood.
For Invert the Skies.
Yeah, Invert the Skies. That's the one.
Yeah.
So yeah, for me, I think since we have the Field of the Dead, I think the only 2 that I really want to suggest are Thespian Stage and Vesuva, just to copy Field of the Dead and get even more zombies. But outside of that, the only other land I could think of for value is a Mystic Sanctuary, if we haven't added that one in already.
Mystic Sanctuary? Yeah.
Yep. Oh, Castle Garenberg. I quite like Castle Garenberg, since we have 21 creatures anyways.
Yeah. I mean, if you really want to, we can go Castle Vantress as well. And then you can add in all the dual lands you like, so Breeding Pool, any guild gates if you really need to, just to buff them up, get your different land count.
Yeah, I think I quite like that. Oh, your pet card, Flashland, Alchemist Refuge.
That's fair, yeah.
Yeah, seems like a fair include. We're in Simic. Let's do some Flash.
Yeah.
Just on a land. Nothing too degenerate, right?
Nothing too bad. But
But yeah, I think that's a deck as far as I'm concerned. Because the only thing Ashen says Littjara Mirror Lake.
Mirror Lake? What's this one? It's a land that enters tapped. Add a blue. 2 green, blue. Tap, sacrifice. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it enters the battlefield with additional +1 counter on it. Activate as a sorcery. Yeah, we can put that one in. That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah.
I am happy.
The only thing for me, as much as I like Oko, I don't know. Do you think that +1 is good enough to go ahead and do that constantly, or do you think it's just going to get hated out the game real fast? Just out of curiosity.
I like it for the
food tokens.
The food tokens is good life gain.
Okay.
But sometimes you just need to elk stuff. And
okay.
In all fairness, it's once per cycle, so it's not as broken as you may think.
Okay, that's fair. Yeah, because the only thing that I really want to throw in, because of maybe we get rid of the Azure's Predation, actually, because that seems high to cast.
Okay.
We'll get a lot of beasts and we'll fight. My suggestion for Azure's Predation is actually going to be a Court of Calling because of how wide we're going. and we could just fetch a creature that we need. Because
Yeah.
Court of Calling with the Convoke, we could do this at instant speed, and we can get something out like our Hornet Queen, our Avenger of Zendikar, our Coma, whatever we're really feeling. And it's an easy way to do it, especially with how many tokens we're going, I feel like.
Okay, well, I'll move the Azure to sideboard, maybe board, and we'll put in the Court of Calling.
Yeah, I think at that point, I am good on this deck. I think it's come together quite well, actually.
Yeah, I'd like to see how Wizards build it. Maybe there'll be a
Oh,
doubling
yeah.
season in there or not, but I don't think it will be
Doubt
as
the doubling season.
mad as we've gone. But it's one of the decks I'm interested in purchasing, definitely.
Yeah, no, this can definitely do some work, I think.
Yeah. But are you happy with this?
Yeah, I'm happy.
Okay.
Are you happy?
I'm very happy actually. But I think that's all for now, really. If you want to see more, visit our hub into the99.com for more articles, videos, podcasts, plus the link to our Discord community. Finally, if you wish to support us in a more financial way, please see our merch store for great t-shirts and more. Remember, don't just get into the 99, wear it. But that's all from me. And that's probably all from Han too.
Yep, that's it for me too. Have a good night, everybody. We love you all. Thank you for staying with us.
Have a good night. Be safe. See you next week.